Well, good morning. Um, I thought we'd mix it up a little bit today and start playing with some unique locations. And one of my favorites is St. Barth's. It's a little landing strip on an island, and there's all kinds of videos of the planes landing here. Quite dangerous. As you can see, that's the edge of the runway out to the right of my windshield. I would go outside, but there is a plane right beside me, and it is so noisy out there. So let me just give you an idea of the approach. There is the approach to this runway. Snickled into the little canyon. There's the ocean. And yeah, very interesting place to fly a plane. Lots of, like I say, lots of real videos of planes doing a great job and not such a great job. So it might be fun to come up here and get a little taste what it's like to be a pilot on some of these most dangerous airports in the world. So very high winds here. We got the winds coming off the ocean funneling up into this little canyon, which makes for a very interesting uh, approach, landing, takeoff, all the above. So we're in the 172. Let's just do a nice little takeoff, and we'll do an approach and land at this bad boy. It's kind of fun, so let's go ahead and do this. Taking off here isn't such a bad thing in this plane because we're already up and out of here. Nice little cruise ship out our window here. Okay, we'll just fly out here in this little cove, get some altitude. And I haven't checked to see if there's any procedures, precision landing. It's all, the only landings I've ever done here is just come in and land. I've actually only landed here once in my life. I just tried it before I started the recording, and it was actually quite fun. I was just going to do this for my own personal fun, but I thought this might be a pretty good video to make on some of the most world's dangerous airports. And this one's pretty dangerous because of the steep approach. You just barely clip the land before dropping down. Gusty winds. And really, you're committed. I mean, you can do a go around. I mean, here you definitely have to do a go around. The minute you didn't feel good, just bug out. But if you're flying a bigger plane, you're pretty much committed once you dive down, and you got to go right close to the ground, then just dive her down. And there's a road right there on top of that ridge. But you can't really see the airport. It's just on the other side of the ridge, and all of a sudden you see it. You just line up, dive bomb it, and land. So You can see my localizer 1, my course heading, that's the actual runway heading, so we'll use that as my little cheat for runway heading. And I'm just going to fly out of here, and we'll make a turn, get a visual on the island. And you basically have to look at this side of the island to start your approach. There's a rock ledge, there's 2 peaks on the mountain on the other side. So you line that rock ledge up, the 2 peaks, and just fly that way until you kind of get an idea where the runway is and commit to it. So let's take a peek, kind of where we're at, not quite sure. Okay, there's our island right in front of us. Let's just calm this bad boy down. Okay, what I'm looking at is that little dip in the middle of the island. We see our cruise ship out in the water, so I'm going to fly on these side of them 2 little islands. What I need to do is just slow our plane down, get her flapped up. So I'm just going to pull back and bleed our airspeed off. There we go. Now I can put a notch of flap in. We'll do another notch of flap, add a little power. Trimming the plane, pretty important. Okay, here's my rock island. Let me get my little pointer out here. See that rock ledge there and these 2 peaks here. I'm going to want to fly about that heading right there. We're just going to barely miss this ridge, and the airport's on the other side of that ridge there. So you still can't see the airport, but we are going to want to have this to my left, these in front, and these to my right, and there's the road right there. So I'm going to basically want to fly right over that road at a very steep angle. Okay, we're lined up on our approach. I like where the mountains are. I got the road in sight, the rock ledge. Now we're just going to kind of maintain. I don't want to keep going down. I'll be dive bombing that ridge right in front of us pretty heavily, so. And mind you not, this is a slow flying plane, so this is one of your easier planes to land here. We could do the Cessna Caravan, the Twin Otter, but this is, you're not going to land a jet or anything. Our Beach Baron, we probably could. That would be a handful. That would be the most extreme, because you're coming in hot, steep, and you'd have to really hit your numbers. This is pretty forgiving. I mean, you can. Okay, I'm going to kind of stop talking. I've got my hands full. I'm going to. You'll see the runway come in sight just over that. And I'll point one last time. Here's the road I'm aiming for. The runway should be right there somewhere. Okay, I'm going to go full flap. Get my plane trimmed. There's just the end of the runway, the far end of the runway I can see come in sight. Gotta kind of just ignore that ridge right there and just come in with a very high approach to a short runway. 500. And when I commit, I'm going to commit. Okay, I'm going to start coming down. There's my numbers. Okay. Kind of like this. Okay. Just missed that mountain ridge. Come on in. There's our numbers. Just let her come down. My speed's excellent. Just let her float, bleed it off. See, this is where you get in trouble, is when you roll that far. I should have. Look at that. Woohoo! Badass. Let's do another one. Shows the TBM 930 set here. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know. I'll try it. But that would be a handful because you're coming in at 90 knots, dive bombing. And I'm not sure. Just because it shows it sitting there doesn't mean it can land here. I don't know how you decide if your plane lands here. I guess it's just a matter of the ability of the pilot. But that is a fun approach. I wish we could set a camera right here. And this plane right to my left right here, right now that I'm driving by, that's the kind of aircraft you see landing here all the time in real life. And they have a Twin Otter, which is made for short field takeoff and landings. And then your Cessna Caravan. I mean, this is like a commercial airport, so you've got a lot of commercial traffic moving in and out of here. But I thought a Cessna 152 would be or 172 would be pretty forgiving. I would want to fly this in and out of here without even worrying about it before I stepped into a more high performance aircraft. Okay, let's do this again. The real runway does have your 1,000-foot markers, which are them big blotches about right here and about right here in real life. I don't know why this one doesn't have it, because that would be a very good target for you to aim for. And the winds are horrendous here, so you can see I got a 19 knot headwind right here, so it blows right up that cove, which gives you a crosswind. So you're dealing with a crosswind shooting up a canyon. There's just a lot of things involved in landing there, and a lot of things that could go wrong. Maybe we'll do a couple landings there just to get the gist of it. I'm pretty sure doing a go around there, if you do it soon enough, isn't that big a deal because you do have that cove to fly out in. It's just the transition of full flaps, steep dive, and then deciding to level off. And you can see the turbulence off these mountains are pretty good. The transition from a steep landing like that to a go-around might be pretty interesting. I've never had to do one yet. That's only the second time I've landed there, and we've been successful both times, so I would practice a go-around there, but I'm sure the more I land there, I will be forced to do one because I won't be lined up correctly or something will be wrong. But that's actually quite fun to land there. And there are some real nasty airports in this world. There's one in Nepal that is really high altitude, so your plane performance sucks to begin with. And it's like landing, I'd have to look up, but it's like landing at a 20-30 degree incline and you take off. It's like a ski ramp. So you come up this valley, very high altitude, and you basically land going up a steep grade. And then as you get to the end of the runway at the top, it just plateaus and there's a place to park. So I'll have to fly. I'm going to definitely fly that airport, but we'll have to this plane wouldn't be able to do it because I think it's 10 to 14,000 feet somewhere is the airport. So this plane won't even fly. Couldn't even get up there. So we'll take the Cessna 208, Cessna Caravan turboprop, and that one you have to have a pretty high performance plane. Never been there either. I'll have to look up and try to figure out how to find the airport in the world to actually go to it. There's a plane below us right out in front of us. There's another plane. Got a couple planes out here. I'm not doing any radios or communication. I'm just landing. So there's our island. Looking for my two little islands in the bay. There it is. So we want to go towards this little island right in front of us. That kind of gives you your lineup. Just go around this little island, line up with that island. There's our rock ledge, our dit. Now here's where I just pull back, bleed off my airspeed, and a notch of flaps. Let's start getting this thing down a little bit. We'll do another notch of flaps and trim. Trimming's pretty important here. You want to have that little sweet spot because you need to dive, but you also you want to just slow inputs on a steep dive, which means you've actually trimmed the plane nose down quite a bit. Okay. I won't point out the things. I've showed you what I'm looking for. There's my two islands lined up. The rock ledge right off the nose of the cruise ship, which the road comes into view about now. And that's pretty much how I start my approach. And out here we're just kind of bleeding off a little altitude. Our airspeed's good, but we're basically just wanting to get closer. And I'll do my final adjustment when I see the end of the runway. I'm really not using any instruments on this approach. Everything I'm doing is looking outside the window. I'm looking at my islands. I'm looking at what the horizon looks like on the front of my plane. I really don't look at my dash at all. I'll quick peek down at my airspeed, which is very important because I really cannot afford to stall the plane when I'm 50 feet off the ground of that ridge. So, but everything else, I am basically strictly flying the plane outside and just glancing at my airspeed every once in a while. Okay, about right here, let's go full flap. Trim the plane. And I'm gonna trim the plane pretty close to level right here. So the minute I come out of my throttle, my nose is gonna drop. There's the end of the runway, so there, now I can line up. And now I'm pretty neutral on my stick. I hope that plane isn't landing the other direction. That'll be hilarious. We might have to do our go around. I think he is landing, coming the wrong way. Okay, we're coming down. I like the looks of this, other than the airplane looks like it's landing.
500.
It is landing, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, we get to do a go around, or he'll just disappear. I wouldn't want to land that way because you absolutely have no other, there's no go around. You're committed when you, okay, he's going to be off the runway. He's at the end of the runway. Okay, got my ridge under control, full flaps. There's my ridge. Dive right over there. Ah, yeah, we like this. And then just float her down. Okay. 3 for 3. Wonder if we could take off right here. Don't push your luck. Ah, that is fun. I'm sure it'd be a little more stressful if you were in a real plane, but shall we do one more? Yeah, we'll do one more successful landing and then we'll park it. And we can all say that, hey, you've looked out the windshield and landed at St. Bart. Basically, probably do a bunch of these videos. We're just gonna Google the most dangerous airports in the world and go there and fly. A lot of them are like international airports that airlines fly, and it's just really not a big deal unless but there are some international airports where jets land. It's in Asia somewhere. I'm trying to think of the name. But the approach, you fly right into the canyons, and it's There's only a handful of pilots qualified to land there. I'm trying to, but you start like 5-10 miles out flying in canyons and steep banks, and then you come around this corner and there's your airport, and you just put the airline down. So I'm sure being a passenger on that would be horrible. Oh, hey, buddy. Yep, you just disappear. Maybe we should try landing the other. Should we try landing the other direction? I think it would be pretty. Huh. Never thought about that. But the winds, I don't know what the winds are. I don't see a windsock anywhere. I've actually just watched some videos of a plane landing that direction, so. Whee! I mean, you could come right around this bay, come in low and slow, and all right, I'm up for the challenge. See, we got a 19 knot headwind right here still. Let's take a look at it. Let's land backwards. Might be pretty intimidating to see nothing but a green mountain in front of you. But that's the joys of bush pilot. I think a person would just hug this mountain. There's your two peaks. I don't know if I'm going to commit to landing yet or not, but we'll. Whee! I'm real high, but I don't think we're going to land. Let's just take a peek and see what the approach looks like to this airport. Because you got that right there. There it is. So you kind of just. Oh, yeah, this is probably easy. Man, it's all uphill. I think it's really easy doable. Let's land this. The winds are what's really going to screw us up because we're exposed, then we're not going to be exposed. I think I'd rather blindly land here than deal with all these winds. Oh, it's throwing the plane around horribly. And then once we hit this, yeah, it's quite a bit uphill, huh? Dang. Never thought about landing that direction. Never thought it was possible. You can definitely feel a tailwind on you. So it is, I'm not going to say harder landing that way. We kind of rushed it and really didn't plan ahead that much, but it is pretty fun. I'm going to do one more. I want to do the over the ridge is still my favorite. It's not as intimidating landing the other way as I thought. Basically, it's just this one's more intimidating because you really can't see nothing, and then when you do see it, it's So yeah, I like landing this direction. I wish they had a windsock. I'm sure there's one there, but I'm not seeing it to see what our winds are like at the runway. I know what they are at the end of the runway once you get out of the water, but it'd be nice to have a row of windsocks down your runway to see what the effect of the trees, the canyon are. Because you can definitely feel the wind and see how the mountains affect. You get close to these mountains and it just wants to throw the plane around pretty good, so. Whee! Jeez. Okay, that's gaining altitude on one side of the mountain and being sucked down the other. I didn't even have my hands on the yoke on that one. It went from 1,300 feet climbing to 800 feet diving, so that's when you really want to know your mountain flying if you're going to fly around mountains. Definitely a course you should be taking if you do a lot of mountain flying. Now my brain's thinking about what other planes I could fly into there. I'm thinking the Beach Bear and G58 would be a handful. You'd almost have to dive in there pretty close to stall speed and you would have to hit the end of that runway. Instead of thinking of other planes, I should just concentrate on the one I'm flying, huh? Alright, here we go. Let's line this bad boy up. Should we do a stall right here just for fun? Yeah, power off stall.
Stall. Stall.
Whee!
Stall.
There we go. Okay, we had a little stall fun. Now we'll get back to work. Who says you can't entertain yourself in a Cessna 172? Alright, let's get the plane trimmed, quit screwing around. Pretty low this time. Not liking the looks of this at all. So I really don't need to climb, but I just need to stop falling so much until we get a little closer that I can continue. Okay, let's get full flaps. Let's get everything nice and trim. There's my runway, there's my road. That was interesting. Wow, this one's pretty. The winds are horrendous here. Okay, if we were on the Beach Bear on that one, that wouldn't. But that's a lot heavier aircraft, so I'm real curious to see what that twin would be like landing here. But, okay. That is fun. I think we'll come back here, play with different aircraft, and I just figured this would be a great beginner aircraft for something like this, because, well, you train in planes like this. You don't go jump in the high performance, and I can imagine what the real life training would be like to land here for real commercially. Let's park on the commercial side. We'll get our photo opportunity right here. We survived. Lovely. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. I think I'll do a little research, pick us out some dangerous airports, and we'll just go in there and fly them and get a taste of what it's like to be in the pilot's seat. I've enjoyed it. Hope you did. Give me a thumbs up, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Support the channel, and we'll just keep bringing you more of these. Yeah, look at the clouds blowing by. I still don't see any windsock to see. I don't see it anywhere, but enjoy. We'll see you next time. Bye. Well, I couldn't resist. We are back. We'll see. I didn't restart my simulator computer, so it may have some glitches, but I really wanted to see what it'd be like to land the Beach Baron G58 at St. Bart. Let's jump in the cockpit and give her a try. Never done it before, so this is how it goes when you learn how to do something. Let's make sure all my controls work. Okay, so far so good. Sometimes I have a lot of glitches if I don't restart my computer from scratch between changing planes, but we should have a half a fuel tank. Let's go ahead and do our normal startup procedure that you've seen a million times that I'm not gonna repeat. Okay, boom, 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 click, click, clack, clear. Okay, we got fire, pitot heat, lights. Bring that up. Barometric pressure, 60-foot elevation. Okay, just waiting on our screens to do their test. And now that we're out of the United States, our VFR code is 7,000, not 1,200. Okay, I think we're good. Let's go ahead and okay, since we're at sea level, I really don't I keep both engines, everything rich. I do not have to lean the motors out at sea level because they are set at sea level. So I don't do anything for that. I'll just make sure everything, okay. I like it. Oh, are you nervous? I'm not nervous yet because I'm fairly confident we'll have a good virgin takeoff and landing here. Okay, one notch of flaps. We're definitely going to keep the brake locks and come to a full power. Release the brakes. And rotate. Tap the brakes. Gear coming up. And flaps up. Oh, yeah. It's kind of nice not having the Neil fly babysitting your flying. Now we can actually zip right up. Definitely got a lot more performance than our Cessna. I had to fly around the mountain. Now I just fly up and over. Ooh, clouds. That might be a problem on our approach if we're blinded by clouds. See, that's what happens when I don't restart my computer. It crashes. Okay. Of course, it crashed. I restarted. So, I just wanted to kind of get you an idea in the world where this is at. Here, of course, is Florida, United States, Cuba, the Bahamas, and we're right out here in the middle of the ocean. And it is St. Bartholomew. So that's where we want to be. And we will park right up here, parking number 1. And yes, we're going to try this with the Beach Baron. I don't know what it is about changing aircrafts or finishing a flight. I have to totally shut down everything, restart it, or it does exactly what it did that last time. just freeze, shuts off, and hopefully I didn't cause problems because now my music's gone. So I've kind of got hooked on this. Now I'm researching Lukla Airport in Nepal. That's the one way up in the mountains. There's one in France. I'm not even going to try to pronounce it. Korchev. And then there's another one in Honduras and one in Scotland. That's your top 4 dangerous airports in the world of 2022. There's our airport. There's our beach baron. Come on, let's jump in this thing. Let's have some fun. Okay, I'm gonna bore you to death with the same old thing we do every time. Turn the fuel on. Get rid of my yokes. Make sure my controls all work and get them set properly. And fuel pump, beacon lights, yell out, clear. We have fire. Turn our avionics on. Go ahead and turn all our lights on. And there we go. Let our TOS test complete itself. Pitot heat on. We don't need pitot since it's 26 degrees Celsius, but we'll turn it on anyway just to get rid of the yellow light on my dash. It's amazing how one little warning light, even though you know it's great, every time you glance, it catches your eye and then it. Okay, we have half a tank of fuel. All right. Well, we all know the routine here. I could just leave out that first video, but that was actually the first time I ever taken off here, so we get 2 takeoffs and, well, we don't know how the landing is going to be yet. We definitely know the climb out is absolutely amazing. So 1 notch of flaps, full power takeoff. Oh, I can drag race that dude. Let's race him. I win. And rotate. Tap the brakes. Gear coming up. Flaps up. Maybe our dark clouds will move out of here because our last got planes flying everywhere. Big black cloud right over here. Hopefully it's moved since we rebooted. Looks like it's a lot better skies. Definitely like climbing out of there better in this than I do the 172. Wow, there's a lot of turbulence around them mountains. And then we are in the middle of the day. It's 10 to 10 here in Idaho, so I'm sure we're what? 3 o'clock in the afternoon here, so a hot day, winds. It's probably a very turbulent day. Mornings might be a little easier. Okay, let's kind of head out. I'm trying to think about where I want to be on power settings and altitude, and we're going to kind of make this up as we go. Since things move a lot faster now, I'm going to do my downwind quite a ways. Because as we all know, things happen a lot faster in this plane than it did the 172. And I'm thinking another fun plane that, well, we haven't flown together yet would be the Cessna Caravan. I believe that one would be even easier to fly than this one. Because it's kind of designed for short field takeoffs and landings, and I think it'd be easier than this I think this is going to be one of the harder aircrafts to land because our speeds are so high, and we don't have that monster lift capability like we do with the other planes. Okay, there's our island. We're quite a ways out there. Okay, there's our little islands that we're just going to line up with. Okay, let's get this thing configured. Gonna go ahead and drop my landing gear, trim the plane, flaps, power, trim, flaps. Sometimes I entertain myself. Okay, now let's get our speed set. This is going to be pretty critical in this plane. Instead of coming in, dropping at 70, 80 knots and bleeding off, I'm trying to think how to maintain our airspeed at such a high descent rate. Okay, we got 3 in the green. I'm gonna go ahead and give her full flaps right now. I think we'll just keep this altitude. We're gonna line up my little islands. We're quite a ways out. Okay, I'm just kind of going through the landing in my head. What I'm gonna do, I've never landed this plane, but I think we're gonna have to come in pretty steep at a complete idle, which I've never done before. Full flaps, because right now at full flaps and at the power setting, we're right at rotation speed with a 300-foot descent. So I don't want to lose any more altitude. So we're going to go ahead and trim the plane up. And I'm bleeding off a little more power. Okay, I'll get back into my groove of power is my altitude now. Because now we're a little bit below rotate speed, which I think we're going to have to be right around here, 75, 80 knots, which is not where you want to be. I usually land at 92 knots, so that tells you we're 12 knots slower than I regularly land, but we are going to be extremely coming down steep, fast. Got to get it on the ground, get the brakes on before we go into the water. I'm trying to think. I've seen a video of a real. I'm trying to think if it was a multi-engine like this or a single engine that just floated it and slammed on the brakes, locked them up, and still ended up in the water. And that was a real life video. I think it was a twin, so pretty much the same plane we're in now. But we're definitely going to try to land it our first time, but if things don't look good, I'll just have to throttle out, come back out here, and we'll just have to do. Hopefully we're not as turbulent as we were on the 72. The last landing was really a handful, and I don't know if it's because I was a little bit higher than usual, and that exposed me to more wind. Not quite sure. You need to come over a little bit more this way. I've never really paid attention to my altitude. So we're at 580 foot. I think my speed's good. We're at full flaps. I'm trimmed level right now, so I think I'll nose it down just a little bit. Waiting for the end of the runway to come in sight. And there it is, just coming, peeking out of the trees. Okay, interesting. I think I'm going to be more power on. I think I need to be. Especially with this plane, once I lose my forward momentum, it's going to be hard to get it back 500 feet off the ground. Okay, I think I'm just going to. Thing is, the trees are going to disappear. I'm going to lose sight of them trees. My speed's way high.
Stall. Stall.
Yeah, that's a lot more challenging. Hey, we survived. Okay. Trying to think what would make that a little more comfortable. Maybe I should have a little more power. Definitely want to shoot the hole in between them trees. But maybe the speed isn't that big a deal. Maybe I can come in there a little hotter than I'm thinking because the runway is big enough. But you just want to make sure you get down and still have time to bleed off the speed. I mean, I know you're going to be touching down on the runway way faster than you'd like. It's not one of these where you just hold it off and make it a a nice pretty landing. You'd want to just dive bomb them trees, come down and just get your wheels on the ground, get your power off, get the brakes on, pull back on the yoke, try to make the plane as dirty as possible. Okay, well, that's a little more stressful than the 172, I have to say. Like I say, this one I think is going to be one of the hardest planes to land here because it is so much faster on the approach. Definitely, I'm thinking there's another TBM sitting there. It's like, I wonder what that'd be like. I got a feeling I'm going to be landing. At least, I think the Cessna Caravan will be easier than this plane. Of course, the 152, 172, and the Cub would be easy. Okay, one notch of flaps, full power takeoff. Tap the brakes, gear coming up, and flaps up. It is fun flying without NeoFly because I don't have to worry about the VIPs getting sick in the back, so you can really see the performance of an airplane. And especially at sea level, it's amazing how much more power a plane has than well, maybe I'll try this landing with a little higher speed, maybe a little more throttle, instead of completely cutting it back until I start the dive bomb. There's a lot going on when you're landing there. It's like that's true VFR. You don't look at your gauges. You just, last time you look at your gauge to make sure that the airspeed's where you want it to be, and it's only going to increase as you cross that ridge. Right before that ridge is the last time I ever look at my dash. The rest of the time I'm watching that ridge. I've already aligned up to the runway, and it's just a matter of just missing them trees and then trying to get close to them numbers. And I was quite a ways off on my numbers. I was way to the right on the runway. So I really need to get centered a lot better. You're getting to do a bunch of steep bank turns today, or like a 50-degree. Alright, there we are. Let's get this thing slowed down and configured and give us time to think of what we're going to do here. So first thing we're going to do is drop that landing gear. Notch a flap. Another notch a flap. And let's trim this plane. Full flaps. I would like to find a video of the pilots actually doing the approach to this, because I'm sure it starts way out here and okay, we're losing 600 feet a minute, so we'll bring our power back. I want pretty much straight level flight right here at my rotate speed. I don't know if that's what I should be doing or not, but in my brain it seemed to work all right. You definitely want to be out here far enough so you can get the plane trimmed exactly where you think you want it. But the best part we really haven't had that hard of landings. We haven't died. We haven't crashed. We haven't had to do a go-round yet. You've seen pretty much every landing I've done here but my first Cessna 172. I should have had the camera rolling then, but I pretty much did the same thought process as this one, but I don't know. The 172 is so easy to fly. It wasn't as stressful as this one is. It's not stressful, it's just there's a lot more to think about, because I did stall quite high, which surprised me. So maybe the speed bleeds off faster than I think. I just know what it's like when you're on a nice long runway and you just cut your throttles back and you're doing 92. Maybe I should fly it into the runway at the last minute, because we're only dealing with 12 knots difference. Even if I use my rollout completely to the end of the runway, that's better than premature stalling the plane on approach and falling out of the sky. Okay, we got full flaps. We got our power pretty much set where I want it. We're straight level flight. I got my road in sight. Looking for the end of the runway to line up with. You see that pretty blue water, and then the end of the runway peeks out between them trees. And there it is. Yippee-ki-yay. I don't like this one at all. Yay, we got to do our first go around. Yeah, that one just didn't feel, I don't know if I caught a bunch of lift off of that ridge or I was higher. Well, that was a forced go around. I didn't. So now we know what a go around looks like at there. That was one of our questions we had, or I had. Yeah, this plane is a challenge there. But there is a lot of turbulence around them mountains. A lot more than there was the first couple times I landed in there. All right, maybe I'm overthinking it. Oh, we're way high. Ah, it's funny. I just been climbing thinking. Oh yeah, we're almost 4,000 feet. My brain was just thinking, okay, what are we gonna do? Other than let's drop 1,000 feet. Do some sharp turns and dives here. That's better. Okay, let's do our gear down. Flaps. Flap. Trying to think if too much speed was my problem there. Maybe it's best to be right on the edge of stalling coming in there. Okay, 3 and green, flaps. Let's just get this plane trimmed comfortably. Power setting. Okay, I think I'm going to try the rotate speed, about 83, 84 knots. So we'll be right at the brink of stalling. I just don't know where to be altitude-wise. Dive bomb the trees. I think we're a little close to the trees, a little fast. See, and I'm showing a 20-knot wind right off my left side. It's pretty close to what the waves look like. So if you look down at the water, see the waves, that's our direction, and I've got 20 knots of wind on me right now. I'd like to really watch that gauge as I'm landing, but there's way too much going on. Okay, let's see.
Stall.
Oh, there's the nice little float you do
Stall.
not want.
Stall. 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 Stall.
Woohoo! Wow. Okie dokie. I would definitely not want to be a passenger when I'm flying this here. I felt more comfortable on the approach, though. It did. It really. It was just when I went to flare, I powered off and then I flared. I don't know if I'm flaring too high, but also the runway sloped down, so maybe I'm flaring too high trying to level off instead of letting it drop a degree or two. But hey, we survived. That is tough. That is a lot going on. I like going through them trees a lot better on that one. That felt pretty good. It was just the flare at the... because we came pretty steep and fast. But I think I just need to figure out my flare at the end. Instead of flaring and gaining altitude, I kind of need to just keep the degree a little lower and bleed off the airspeed, just because I can actually still be dropping a few degrees. That's interesting. Well, we know what it's like to be in a beach barren. Oh, that is very fun. Very fun indeed. Let's just pose for a photo op here. uh, that was fun. That was real enjoyable. Well, hope you appreciate that one. Trying to decide whether we should just start another one and do the caravan. But other than that, thanks for riding along. Appreciate it. Go ahead and like and subscribe and tell your friends, and let's kind of keep doing this. So thanks. Have a great day. Bye.